The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gam Podcast Network is brought to Barn Fantasy. They bring offer for new customers. Pledge $50, get $100 bonus funds. Use promo code SGPN. And welcome, everyone, to the Tennis Gam Podcast here on the Sports Gam Podcast Network. It is currently Saturday afternoon, October 11th, around 5:40 p.m. Eastern. I'm Rosso Scott Reichel once again, going solo for this pod. Time to get into the final of Shanghai. We're going to break down the final matchup between Rinderknech and Vacherot. What a wild tournament. But either way, we're going to break down the one match taking place on Sunday. Should be a fun one. Odds are somewhat close, so we're expecting a bit of a closer battle, and hopefully that's what we end up getting for a very entertaining final. Either way, though, before we get into the recap of the semis and the preview of the final in Shanghai, reminder that you can help the show grow by subscribing to YouTube. Reminder, podcast also available audio only on Spotify and Apple. But if you check it out, audio only with a rating and a review to help the show grow, YouTube, like, and subscribe. Plus, a reminder, check the merch store. We have a lot of great merch on the merch store for tennis. We have sweatshirts, t-shirts, we have mugs, different colors, very affordable. Check it out. Think you'll enjoy the collection that we have. Plus, a reminder, if you actually want to check out other shows on the network, the NHL is back. So is the Hockey Gambling Podcast. Join Ryan and Joel as they break down the biggest games, storylines, awards, and best bets throughout the season. Let it slide. So, starting off with the recap of the lock and dog picks from the semis. Unfortunately, not good. Now, we gave Vacherot some credit entering his matchup against Djokovic. However, I don't think anybody thought he would actually win in straight sets. We had Djokovic team total over 12.5 at minus 132. It is what it is. Joker got hurt early on, played through it, but he hurt his back-hip, and he ended up getting destroyed. So picked up a loss there. I mean, he was minus 800, give or take, on the money line. We did pick him to have a bit of a battle for a bit, but not to lose outright in straight sets. So Joker to win a set, I don't even want to know what the price was. Probably like minus 3,000, and he lost in straight sets. So that ended up not working out. For the dog, looked good early. With Medvedev straight sets, he won the first set, and then he ended up getting killed in the second set, lost the third. But either way, Medvedev even money to win in straight sets did not work out. But the semifinal recap, the unexpected keeps happening as we ended up having Djokovic and Medvedev both lose. Now, Medvedev was a massive favorite, but Joker was, around 2-3 times the price of Medvedev, and they both lost. The Medvedev one was close. Rinderknech served very well, volleyed very well, and was able to create some openings en route to a win. For Joker, once again, he got hurt pretty early on, and once that happened, Vacherot kind of took control of the match, and Joker's serving was just not the same. So it's pretty difficult to fully evaluate every type of just shocking outcome that we've had in this tournament, because this is an all-timer. It's one thing if you are looking at one Cinderella and you end up getting Rinderknech in a final, which would be a great story either way, as he looks for his first ever ATP title. Then you throw in Vacherot, who ended up being ranked in the 300s, and now he's in the 200s, and now he is a qualifier making a dream run for his first ever ATP title in a 1,000 event. It is just completely insane how many upsets we've had, the actual path we have seen, and a big reason for that is Alcaraz not being here, and Sinner, who got injured and had to retire in his match against Griekspoor. Kind of a perfect summary of the entire tennis landscape when Alcaraz and Sinner are out of the picture. Pure chaos. You can't trust anybody. It's why we keep talking about Sinner and Alcaraz being that far ahead of everyone else, and the ATP points suggest the same thing. But Zverev complains that the tournament directors are trying to make courts slower to help out Alcaraz and Sinner. Ironically, and now both of them aren't actually here, and we have Vacherot against Rinderknech in the final. Yes, Zverev, maybe you're just not as good as you think you are, and you should actually work on your own game. Just a thought there. But definitely entertaining to see so many upsets. Pretty crazy that Djokovic lost two. It hurt us. We had Djokovic win the event at 9-1, and he loses as a minus 700, minus 800 favorite in the semis. But either way, now we have two cousins to add to the, chaos. Rinderknech and Vacherot, actually related. They are cousins. So each of them are trying to win their first ATP title, and we'll see who can get the job done on Sunday. But overall, an all-time crazy ATP title, or I should say ATP event in general, and nobody had this outright prediction of Rinderknech or Vacherot. So definitely a shocking outcome, especially when you have two separate top 10 guys who are playing against the Cinderellas on Saturday in the semis, and both of them lose. Now, Medvedev's not ranked in the top 10 anymore. We know he used to be number one. You get my point. Top 20 still, Grand Slam champion, etc. The point is, it's shocking that both of them got this far and beating good competition. It wasn't like everyone in their path ended up losing. They had to beat some good players. I mean, if you want to read off the actual path for both, Vacherot, for example, had to beat Djokovic. I know he got injured, but still. Beat Rune. Griekspoor is still a pretty good hardcourt player. Makic got injured, still counts. Bublik, who was in great form as well for most of the season. I know that Bublik recently kind of fell apart, but Vacherot had to beat a couple of really good players, and Bublik was fighting for a spot in Turin. So multiple top 15 guys he had to beat, and he did so. As for Rinderknech, ended up beating Medvedev, beat Felix, beat Leheshka, beat Zverev. Both guys have beaten good competition. It has not been fluky, just good for them. They ended up having everything just go well for their own games for the sake of this event. But now we have a family affair taking place on Sunday. Should be fun. Definitely a shocking outcome just for both guys getting here. And we'll see which Cinderella actually does lift the trophy at the end of the fairy tale. As for the other stuff worth talking about, I have really nothing else to add for the semifinal recap. Joker got hurt, and he ended up not breaking serve a single time. Broke one time. But Vacherot was able to really take control in the last set and a half. And Medvedev, at the end of the day, he ended up playing pretty well. But Rinderknech volleyed very well. Thought he'd come to the net a lot. He did, and he shortened the points. So nice job by him. Nice game plan. And we'll see if he can do the same thing against Vacherot in the final on Sunday. For other, I'd say, newsworthy bullet points here, Sabalenka finally lost in Wuhan. She was undefeated. She was 20-0. And then she ended up losing to Pegula. Take matters worse, she ended up having a 5-2 lead in the third set, and she ended up choking. She ended up serving for the match twice, and she lost, and then got buried in the tiebreak as she ended up losing 7-2. So Sabalenka was undefeated, beat Pegula, of course, in the U.S. Open finals last year, the U.S. Open semis this year, and Pegula got some revenge as Sabalenka lost for the first time ever in Wuhan after choking a 5-2 lead in the third set. The other one wasn't very close. Goff ended up beating Paolini. Paolini owned her in the regular, or I should say the majority of the season, but Goff got revenge as she ended up winning comfortably 6-4, 6-3 in the semis. So now you have an American final between Goff and Pegula. We'll see what happens. Should be fun. But Sabalenka's unbeaten run in Wuhan is now officially over. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the recap there. Thinking of other news that's worth talking about, I can't really think of much. The women's matches were the other, I'd say, talking point here with Sabalenka losing. But besides that, nothing else to really talk about. Let me just see what happened here. Somebody ended up getting suspended for 4 years for a doping violation. Giancarlo Oliveira, who is a Venezuelan tennis player, which isn't really important because nobody's really ever heard of him. However, I do think it's pretty funny that he's blaming the positive test on a kiss. Fun fact. He is blaming it on having a kiss with somebody, and that caused him to test positive for methamphetamine, and he got suspended for 4 years. So that is the number one excuse now on the leaderboard. Brooksby running away from a test was up there, but blaming a 4-year methamphetamine ban on a kiss is pretty funny. So Oliveira will be out of commission for 4 years. Anyway, time to move on into the actual breakdown of the final on Sunday in Shanghai. Before we get into the match, though, a reminder they're brought to you by our sponsor, Bookie.ag. You can bet on football, college football, tennis. They have a bunch of different sports as well. Playoff baseball. Have a prop builder, second to none. Their model simple. Bet anything, anywhere, anytime. Use crypto for deposits and payouts. And you sign up for your new account. Use code SGPN for 100%. Bet bonus $500 for new customers. Bookie.ag promo code SGPN. Once again, 100% bet bonus $500 for new customers. Bookie.ag promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Novig. They're off to a great start for their actual brand, because I feel like I never heard of them until a couple months ago. Another sponsor on the show. They have a bunch of users, and they are the number one prediction market for sports in America. So once again, time does fly pretty fast, but you're looking at them being available in a bunch of states, 35 plus to be exact. Download the Novig app, $50 when you spend just $5. If you use a promo code SGPN, get on the actual Novig, promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished going through the recap of the semis, time going into the final that nobody thought we were going to end up having about a week or two ago. Rinderknech against Vacherot. Now, for the actual rankings of both players, to show you how unlikely this final actually is. So Rinderknech is ranked 54th in the world, and Vacherot is ranked 204th. And this is the final we got for a 1,000 event. A lot of prize money. I believe Vacherot has already eclipsed his career earnings in one tournament by making the final in this event. So pretty crazy, but either way, a very, very entertaining run by both guys. And now we're looking at what should be a fun final. For the pricing, somewhat close. You're looking at Vacherot being a dog again. Rinderknech is minus 160. You have Vacherot around plus 140. For the spread, you have minus 1.5 for Rinderknech, plus 1.5 for Vacherot. The over-under in games is at 23.5. For the set spread, you have Rinderknech in straight sets at plus 136. Vacherot to win a set is minus 175. The over 2.5 sets is around plus 153. For the team total, I see 12.5 for Vacherot around minus 110. You have Rinderknech at 13 flat at minus 120. For aces props, you have each of them at 8.5. The over or under for the combined aces is 17.5. Breaks of serve over under 2.5 combined. The over is minus 155. The under is plus 121. For double faults, you have the over under 4.5 with minus 110 on the over, minus 120 on the under. Tiebreaker in the match is around minus 155. So for the path for both guys, I said before that both guys face off in good competition, but to remind everyone once again how good the competition has been, Vacherot beat Djokovic, beat Rune, beat Griekspoor, got lucky it wasn't Sinner, but still. Beat Makic in a set in retirement, and beat Bublik, beat De Gere, also beat Draxel and Basaveretti in qualifying. But either way, I ended up beating Bublik, beat Makic, beat Rune, beat Djokovic. Very solid run. Rinderknech, though, ended up beating the likes of Zverev, ended up beating Zverev, Lehechka, Felix, and Medvedev. He also beat Mickelson and Medvedev. Pretty lucky Medvedev ended up getting injured and had to quit in the second set. But either way, both guys beating good competition. Main reason, they are both really good at serving. That has been the storyline for the event to get into the actual serving numbers for both players. So holding has been pretty straightforward for both guys. Rinderknech is holding serve in 94% of his service games at the event. 94%. Vacherot is casually at 91%. Both guys have been holding serve like madmen, and now we have what could be a very tie-break infested match. It could end up happening, so we'll see what happens. But for my actual thoughts here, based on the circus, I really don't want to lay juice with anybody in this matchup. I understand why Rinderknech is favored because he has more of a sample based on resume, but both guys are on just an insane heater, and I do think plus 140 is appealing. I think that it's a big price. I think you'd argue with so much uncertainty, Rinderknech should be favored, but probably like minus 125, minus 130. 160 feels pretty large to me, and Vacherot's beating good opponents. I don't think he'll be intimidated. He was intimidated by Djokovic, so I think he'll be in a good spot mentally to potentially get the job done. Pretty important match for both guys. They probably will never get a better chance of winning a 1,000 title. But I can't say there's extra nerves on Vacherot compared to Rinderknech because neither guy has won an ATP title before. So it's a pretty similar uncharted territory for both players. Now I see in the comments section, I see Van asking about how crazy the finals are, saying that they remind him of the Raducanu and Fernandez U.S. Open final. That's the only comp we have right now. I mean, that one's crazier because that is a Grand Slam. And we've seen what Raducanu's done since then. Absolutely nothing. So that's definitely the crazier one. But then again, when you're looking at the amount of talent in the field, in the men's side, etc., we know that women's tennis can be a bit more chaotic typically than men's tennis. Both of them are very unlikely, but I do think you're looking at Layla and Raducanu being the only comp for what we're seeing right now in this event. And looking at the actual matchup, I do think that it makes sense why he's favored being Rinderknech, but I don't think the price is worth it. I think from a betting perspective, maybe you jump in live, maybe you end up going for some type of combo with Rinderknech and the alt over, like 20.5 or something, just to try to reduce the juice. But 161, I'm just not interested in. I think it's Vacherot or pass for the money line. If you want to go Rinderknech, maybe the spread. at -1.5 games, -125. But we have seen both guys dropping some sets. Rinderknech dropped a set to Medvedev, dropped a set to Zverev, dropped a set to Medjedovic. He's been playing well, obviously, but he has been dropping some sets. Vacherot, though, has dropped at least one set in 3 of his last 4 completed matches, not including the Makic match that ended early. So I think you're looking at what should be a close battle between the cousins. I think you might see each player serve well enough to win a set. Maybe a breaker happens, and that could be unpredictable. But Vacherot has been objectively solid. So is Rinderknech, and for that reason, I am going to go with the over in this one. I see it being close. I think you'll see a marathon. I don't mind 3 sets. I think the over 2.5 sets at +153 is appealing. I'll go for that. I think you're going to end up seeing a breaker as well. So -155, I understand. But I do think that's too juicy to take a tie break. Neither guy is Isner, Opelka, or Pericard. So I'll pass on that. But I think you'll get a breaker in there. And I do think that over 2.5 sets is interesting at +153. For my pick to win the actual match, you know what? I'll go Vacherot. Not really, once again, a strong opinion. I think either guy wins in 3. But I think Vacherot at this price is too generous. And I do think for the cousin battle, I think it's pretty close, at least compared to what the odds makers suggest. I'll go for the dog here for the value at +140, but I see a very close battle. I see a really, really tough back-and-forth matchup that I'm going to pick Vacherot to win. But if Rinderknech wins, would I be shocked? No. I think he's been playing very well, better than I thought he ever could play, and he's been in good form for the last couple months. I mean, in the Wimbledon, he made a good run. So I think you're looking at a guy who's finally piecing it together. The volleying skills are there. We'll see if Vacherot can combat it. But I see a lot of holds. I see an over. And I do think that I'll go with the dog here for a decent amount of plus money. I'll look at the comment section, though. I see Van mentioning that he likes Rinderknech, who's faced serve bots all week. He beat a good returner, Medvedev. Yes, he has. He did exploit the deep return position Medvedev has, which I was hoping he would, and he came to the net. So we'll see if he does the same thing here. He should, but either way, I do think you're looking at a pretty fun battle between the two of them. So give me the over and give me the dog for this one in what I think should be a very unpredictable matchup. Anyway, that is going to wrap it up for the preview of the very unexpected final in Shanghai between Rinderknech and Vacherot. Time for the lock and dog picks. Before we get into the lock and dog, reminder they're brought to you by our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Play Face Pick'em. Chance 5 times your entry. Pick higher or lower on your favorite player stats. Available for a ton of different sports as well. They have football, baseball, tennis, you name it. But also check out the new offer they have for new customers. Play just $5, get $100 bonus funds. Use promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. They're off to a great start in college football and NFL. They went 8-2 in passing prop overs in week 5. So check them out for week 6. Giving away a cash prize every week just for tracking your bets in the app. Track 5 bets of any type from the same model or for any model that you build, and you can win $1K. Plus, we have a nice promo code discount with Rhythm. Use the promo code SGPN25. We download the Rhythm app for a quarter of first month. Download Rhythm. Once again, promo code SGPN25. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Scam Podcast. Finished going through the preview of the final between Rinderknech and Vacherot. Time for the lock and dog picks. For the lock, I'm going to go to a play that I've actually not taken in a while on the show, but I finally found a pretty good disparity, so I'm going to go with it. I'll go with the first 6 games in the first set. 3-3 at -130. Same bet is -185 on FanDuel. Caesars went rogue, hung a 130. I'll take that price for it moves. Now, both guys are holding serve very well. Rinderknech holding serve at 94%. Vacherot holding serve at 91%. I see a lot of holds. We need 3 holds each. I think it's a reasonable expectation for both guys to serve well throughout the match. Said before, tie breaks at -155. I saw -195 in a spot or two. So if you're picking a pretty close battle with not many breaks, I do think expecting a 3-3 first set does end up making sense early on. Plus, Vacherot's opponents are holding serve at 80% rate. Meanwhile, Rinderknech's opponents are holding serve at 78% rate. So point is, both guys returning-wise, not great so far in the event. I think both guys serve well. I think both guys hold. And I think we end up getting a 3-3 starting point for the match. Love the odds, though. Give me the first 6 games of the match, 3-3 at -130 on Caesars as my lock for the show. For the dog, I'm going to go with the over 2.5 sets, but I found a bit of a gamble to increase the odds, and I mentioned this before. I will go for it on Caesars once again. Give me the team total over parlay. Rinderknech team total over 12.5. Parlay with Vacherot, team total over 12.5. Plus 190. Said before, the tiebreak is a decent amount of juice, minus 180 in some spots, 190, etc. And you're looking at what should be a close battle with two good servers. Said before that both guys are holding serve at a 90+% clip into the event. So if you get a breaker in there and you get 3 sets, you're in good shape for this to cash. But Rinderknech, despite winning, has gone over this number in 3 of his last 4. Vacherot has also gone over the team total in 3 of his last 4, not including the Makic match, which ended early. Point is that both guys, whether it involves dropping sets or going to breakers, have had long sets and have had marathons. I see a similar story here, but I do think getting 190 when you're looking at the over 2.5 sets being around plus 150, I think it's a good play. You get an extra 40 cents if you just add in the length of the sets, which should be pretty long. I'll go for the over for both team totals in the parlay for my dog. So once again, the plays here for the final episode of Shanghai locks in to be on Rinderknech and Vacherot. First 6 games, 3-3 at minus 130 on Caesars. For the dog, going to stay on Caesars, give me Rinderknech and Vacherot. Each of them, team total over 12.5. Same game parlay at plus 190 on Caesars. Going to wrap it up for the show. Now, we have a bunch of events coming up, actually, for next week. We have Almaty, we have Brussels, and we have Stockholm. So 3 events coming up. So we're going to break down all 3 of those next episode. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.